Have you ever noticed how life after 70 often feels like entering a new chapter entirely? You've been through so much already, raising a family, building a career, taking care of everyone else's needs. By this point, many people start to wonder what comes next. Some think about travel, hobbies, or just enjoying peace and quiet. But for others, the question of romance comes back into the picture. Maybe you've been widowed, divorced, or simply find yourself alone. And then, the thought pops up, should I remarry? Wouldn't it be nice to have someone by my side again? It's a question many seniors wrestle with, and it's one that deserves real honesty. Because while companionship is wonderful, experts who study aging, happiness, and relationships often give a surprising piece of advice. Remarrying after 70 may not actually bring you the joy, stability, or comfort you imagine. In fact, it can sometimes create more challenges than solutions. And that's what we're talking about today, the 5 shocking reasons why saying I do again after 70 might not be in your best interest, even if your heart feels tempted. Now, let's start with the first reason, and it's one that hits close to home for many: finances. At this stage of life, your financial situation isn't just about you anymore. Maybe you've worked hard to save, or you rely on retirement income, pensions, or Social Security. What most people don't realize is that remarriage can drastically affect these benefits. For example, widows who remarry often lose survivor benefits from their late spouse's Social Security. And for those who carefully plan their estate or inheritance, marriage can completely rearrange how those assets get distributed. It can even create conflict between your new partner and your children or grandchildren, leading to painful family disputes. I once spoke with a woman in her early 70s who remarried after losing her husband. She thought it was the perfect fresh start. But a year later, she discovered that her pension, which had been stable for decades, had been reduced because of her new marital status. Her children also grew concerned about their inheritance, which caused a rift that took years to repair. What was meant to be a season of happiness quickly turned into stress and disappointment. That's why experts stress, before saying yes to marriage again, think very carefully about the financial ripple effects, because they don't just impact you, they affect your family's future too. And while money is one reason, the second one is more personal. It has to do with independence. After 70, most people have finally reached a stage of life where they get to do things their own way. No more schedules tied to work, no more raising kids or managing endless obligations. It's your time to decide how your days unfold, whether that's sleeping in, gardening, joining a book club, or simply enjoying the quiet moments. But marriage changes that dynamic. Suddenly, you're sharing your time, your space, your routines, and sometimes even your decisions with another person. Now, of course, compromise can be a beautiful part of partnership. But it can also feel restricting when you've grown used to your independence. Think about it. If you want to travel, you'll need to consider your spouse's preferences and health. If you enjoy certain hobbies, you might feel pressured to include them or adjust your schedule. Even something as simple as deciding what's for dinner can become a negotiation. After 70, when personal freedom feels more valuable than ever, remarriage can unintentionally pull you back into a life of constant adjustment and compromise. I've heard from seniors who remarried late in life and later admitted that they missed their independence. They missed being able to make quick decisions without needing someone else's input. They missed having their own rhythm, their own space, and even their own quiet evenings without interruption. What they thought would be comforting companionship sometimes turned into a loss of personal freedom they hadn't anticipated. And this is something worth weighing carefully, because independence at this age isn't just about convenience, it's about preserving the joy of living life on your own terms. These 2 reasons, financial complications and the loss of independence, are just the beginning of why experts often advise against remarrying after 70. Both of them point to the same underlying truth: the life you've built for yourself up until now is precious, and marriage, while it might seem like a simple step, can change that balance in ways you might not expect. If you're still watching and feel that these insights are meaningful, please type number 2 in the comments to let me know you're still with me. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I warmly invite you to do so, and don't forget to turn on the bell, so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos designed to uplift, inform, and inspire. Your support truly means a lot. It's what keeps us going and allows us to continue sharing thoughtful, helpful content just for you. Now, let's continue this journey together. You know, one of the most surprising things experts often mention is how complicated finances can become when people remarry later in life. At first, it might feel romantic to think about combining everything, your homes, your money, your assets, like people do when they're younger. But after 70, the situation is usually very different. Many of us have worked hard our entire lives to build savings, to set aside something for retirement, and maybe even to leave something meaningful for our children or grandchildren. When you remarry at this age, suddenly all of that can get tangled up in ways you never expected. Let's say you've spent decades making sure your home is paid off, and you're proud of that. If you bring a new spouse into the picture, depending on how things are arranged legally, that home might not stay in your family's hands after you pass. Your children could lose inheritance they've been counting on, not because you didn't plan carefully, but because remarriage shifted the way ownership is handled. And here's the truth, most people don't even realize this until it's too late. Financial advisors often warn that remarriage later in life can lead to disputes not only between couples, but also within families. Your children, or your partner's children, may feel insecure, anxious, or even resentful. It's not that they don't want you to be happy, it's just that everyone naturally worries about stability, about what they've always assumed would be their future. Suddenly, instead of bringing peace and joy, remarriage can stir up conflict that lingers for years. And at this stage of life, none of us want to spend our golden years navigating family tension over money. Now, another piece that rarely gets talked about, but is incredibly important, is how remarriage affects independence. After 70, many people actually thrive when they maintain a strong sense of control over their daily routines. You've probably spent years building habits that work for you, when you eat, when you sleep, how you like your home to feel. Maybe you've carved out little rituals like enjoying your morning coffee quietly on the porch or staying up late to read your favorite book. But when you remarry, those simple freedoms can suddenly feel compromised. It's not that having someone around is bad, companionship is valuable, but it often comes with unspoken expectations. Maybe your new spouse wants you to cook dinner a certain way, or they expect you to watch the shows they like every evening. Over time, these little shifts can chip away at your independence. And what once felt like freedom and comfort can begin to feel like compromise after compromise. Experts who work with older couples often say this loss of autonomy is one of the biggest hidden costs of remarriage. In fact, many people report feeling like they've lost their personal space, their freedom of choice, and even their identity once they enter into a new marriage late in life. That's not because they don't care about their spouse, it's just that after decades of living a certain way, change becomes harder. And when independence is taken away, even in small ways, it can lead to frustration, resentment, and even a sense of being trapped. And there's something else that deserves attention. Remarriage after 70 can sometimes impact your health more than you'd expect. When we're younger, adapting to a new partner's lifestyle, whether it's their eating habits, their activity levels, or their sleep schedule, feels manageable. But as we age, our bodies don't adjust as easily. Let's imagine you've always been careful about your diet, keeping things light and balanced to protect your heart. But maybe your new spouse loves heavy, rich meals and prefers eating out several times a week. Over time, it becomes easy to fall into their habits, even if it doesn't serve your health. Or maybe you're used to going on daily walks because you know how much it helps your mobility and mood. But your spouse isn't interested in exercise, so gradually, you do less and less. These shifts seem small in the moment, but they add up, and before long, you may notice weight gain, lower energy, or even health conditions worsening. Experts in senior wellness often say that when couples over 70 remarry, mismatched lifestyles can actually shorten life expectancy instead of lengthening it. And let's not forget the emotional toll. Adjusting to a new partner's rhythms, how they manage stress, how they handle conflict, how they communicate, can be draining, especially at an age when peace of mind becomes so valuable. Instead of feeling supported, some people find themselves more anxious, more tired, or even lonelier than when they were on their own. Because here's the thing, being married doesn't automatically mean being understood. Another surprising reason senior life experts caution against remarriage after 70 is the emotional weight of blending families. At younger ages, people might expect to start fresh together, maybe even raise children as a team. But by 70, your life story is already rich and deeply rooted. You may have adult children, grandchildren, lifelong friends, and even established traditions that mean the world to you. Bringing another spouse into that picture can sometimes feel like stitching two very different fabrics together. It doesn't always line up as neatly as you'd hope. Think about holidays, for example. Your children may be used to gathering at your home every Thanksgiving or celebrating birthdays in a certain way. But your new partner has their own traditions, their own kids, and their own expectations. Instead of everyone coming together seamlessly, conflicts can arise. Whose family do you visit? Whose traditions take priority? These seemingly small decisions can actually create lasting fractures, not just between families but inside your heart as you try to please everyone. Senior counselors often warn that these emotional challenges are far more draining at an older age. When you're in your 30s or 40s, you might have the energy to smooth over disagreements, to build new blended traditions. But after 70, most people crave stability, peace, and comfort. The constant effort of trying to merge families can leave you feeling exhausted, guilty, or even torn between people you love most. That's not the way anyone wants to spend their golden years. And then, of course, there's the legal and medical side of things. This one can catch people off guard. When you remarry, your new spouse often gains legal authority in areas like healthcare decisions. Imagine this: you've always trusted your daughter or son to speak on your behalf if you were ever unable to make your own medical choices. But once you remarry, your spouse might become the primary decision maker by default. Even if that's not what you intended, the law can shift the balance in ways that surprise you. Doctors and elder care advocates often point out how complicated this can become during emergencies. If your children and your spouse don't see eye to eye on a medical decision, arguments can erupt at the worst possible time. Instead of your family coming together to support you, they may end up divided, leaving you in the middle of painful conflict. And all of this happens not because anyone meant harm, but simply because remarriage changed the legal landscape in ways no one fully anticipated. So, when you add it all up, the financial complications, the loss of independence, the lifestyle mismatches, the family tensions, and the legal medical concerns, it becomes clear why so many senior life experts say, remarrying after 70 isn't the fairy tale it might seem to be. That doesn't mean love or companionship aren't important. In fact, they're more important than ever. But here's the key: you don't have to remarry to find them. Many seniors today are embracing new paths, like living together without marriage, or simply nurturing deep friendships that provide love, joy, and connection without all the entanglements. Some find happiness in travel groups, book clubs, or community activities that keep them socially connected. Others build wonderful companionships where both partners maintain their independence and finances separately, avoiding the pitfalls of legal marriage while still enjoying each other's company. The bottom line is this: after 70, your time is precious. Every day is a gift, and the last thing you want is to spend it tied up in unnecessary stress, conflict, or regret. Senior life experts aren't saying you should avoid love, they're saying you should protect your peace. And that peace comes from making choices that truly serve you, your health, your independence, and your family. So, if you've been considering remarriage, take a moment to pause and reflect. Ask yourself, do I really need the marriage certificate to feel loved and fulfilled? Or can I find happiness in companionship, friendship, and freedom without the risks marriage brings at this stage? In the end, what matters most isn't the label, it's the love, the connection, and the joy you carry in your heart. And those things can absolutely flourish without ever walking down the aisle again. Thank you for spending time with us today. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned from this video and how you plan to apply it in your life. Your insights mean a lot to us and give us the motivation to keep spreading positivity and practical advice. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone you care about. Your support truly helps us continue creating meaningful content that informs, inspires, and uplifts. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.